Here's one of the most overlooked but crucial aspects of presenting your research to the scientific community. Who is your audience? Who are you presenting for? You might have a brilliant research project and maybe even a great set of slides, but if you don't know who you're talking to, you might not get through to your audience. So to help you analyze your audience and tailor your presentation to their needs, we formulated a couple of questions that can help you along the way. Hey, I'm Tom from the Rowlet Project, and you're watching The Art of Scientific Presenting. This is a course where we teach you the basics of academic presentation skills, whether you need to present online or in person. Now, before you get nervous about talking in front of all those people, let's see if we can identify the context of your presentation first. The context is what we refer to with the setting, the purpose, and the circumstances of your presentation. For example, is your presentation part of a conference, a seminar, or maybe just a classroom presentation? Is it going to be formal or informal? Are there time limitations, or do you have the freedom to present at your own pace? Ultimately, are you presenting in person, or does your audience need to attend to talk online? A great way to explore this is to step into the shoes of your audience. So we prepared a few questions for that. What type of work do they do? Why do they come to your talk? What do they already know about your topic? And what do they want to learn from you? Think about their level of expertise, their interests, and their expectations. It's going to help you a lot when you have to choose the right examples, some analogies, and especially the language that you're using in your presentation. So let's focus first on their scientific background. What is the topic of your presentation and what methods did you use to conduct your research? Your audience might have different levels of familiarity with those concepts and the techniques that you're using. For example, if your audience already has a strong background, they're professors or knowledgeable in their field, you can focus on the more novel and exciting aspects of your research instead of just repeating some mundane things. However, if your audience has limited knowledge, especially in a conference, you may need to take a step back and only cover the basics. Make sure you explain these key terms like the assumptions, your limitations of your work without oversimplifying it, but also not overwhelming them. Really important here. Next up, it's time to define the purpose of your presentation. What's the main message you want to convey? Is it to convince them of a new idea or to share some new findings? Maybe to showcase a new method you've been working on. A good tip here is to have this goal, this purpose somewhere on your desk when you're building out your presentation. Everything you present should be in relation to this purpose, yet sometimes we lose track of that when we're really deep into creating the slides. Once you know the purpose, you can choose the right tone of voice, the vocabulary, and the level of jargon for your presentation. Should you use very technical terms or rather some common language? That depends on their scientific background level. You should always talk to your audience in a way that they approve being talked to. Then let's take a look at what you bring to the table. What's your expertise and your knowledge? What can you teach them that they didn't know before? Are there some insights, some data, or perspectives that you really want to share? We all live our own experiences, and even though you're talking to other experts, nobody really experienced their research the same way that you did. Making your presentation just a little bit more personal will really show authenticity, and that's something that we all like to see. Finally, don't forget to have a clear call to action instead of the usual thank you slides. You can think this as a way to connect with your audience after you've done the presentation. You can simply encourage them to ask some other questions, but you can also show them that you're looking for collaborators. You might even want them to read your paper or to share your research with somebody else. So make sure you have a clear idea and like a specific request that combines both you and your audience interests. Now, before we wrap up, let's just clarify one important point, and I think is really interesting, but also really necessary. I think we can both agree that there's a difference between making a presentation for the scientific community and presenting for a broader public. In the scientific community, presentations are meant for dissemination and sharing of the research among peers. However, when you're presenting to a broader audience, such as a public lecture or something on social media, it's important to really adjust and simplify the content depending on who's going to be there. That part is called science communication, but that won't be part of this course. If you do have an interest in this, I will invite you to check out the links in the description box below. Now, we have that workbook, so definitely use the exercises to follow the steps we just explained. In the next video, we're going to look at the structure of a good presentation and how you can pace it. I will see you there.